Welcome to Money Making Conversations. It's the show that shares the secrets of success, experienced firsthand by marketing and branding expert Shaun McDonald. I will know he's given me advice on many occasions, and in case you didn't notice, I'm not broke. You know he'll be interviewing celebrity CEOs, entrepreneurs, and industry decision makers. It's what he likes to do. It's what he likes to share. Now it's time to hear from my man, Shaun McDonald. Money Making Conversations. Here we go.
Yes. Welcome to Money Making Conversation. I am your host, Shaun McDonald. I recognize that we all have different definitions of success. For some, it's a sizable paycheck. Mine is helping people wake up and inspiring them to accomplish their goals and live their very best life. These are my passions, and that's what I want to do with you. That's why I created moneymakingconversation.com. I want you to stop tripping over small challenges and prepare to rise above the bigger obstacles that life will present to you. My next guest, there's two of them. First one is Jacquelyn Rodgers, has over 14 years experience in consumer packaged goods from Nestle Mars and Wrigley, and is a graduate from Clark Atlantic University. Her compadre, partner in crime, Shaun Rodgers, received his undergraduate degree from Morehouse College and MBA from Duke University. They are co-founders of the hugely popular and successful holiday decor and apparel company, Greentop Gifts. The company brand's signature character, an African-American Santa Claus, affectionately known as Clarence Claus, has quickly cemented Greentop's gift place in African-American and families of color households who looked for representation during the holiday season to provide diverse options with full holiday collections of products. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation, the creators of Clarence Claus, Jacquelyn and Shaun Rodgers. How you two doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm excited to talk to two creative minds. But let's talk about a little bit. We talked about you, Jacquelyn, your history from a corporate standpoint. Talk about how you made that transition. You're an HBCU grad, and we know during the pandemic, HBCUs were really thrust out finally in a positive light. The vice president-elect, she's from an HBCU school, Kamala Harris. So talk about that from a female's perspective, what it means to you that's going on right now in this history-making time for HBCUs and women of color.
It's a great day to be a product of an HBCU. It's always a great day. But now, more so in 2020, people are seeing that representation really matters. And it's so great to see HBCUs thrust to the forefront. And as an HBCU grad, we both have long lineage of HBCU graduates in our family. We're so excited to see it. And I say from my background is I went to Clark Atlantic University. I knew I wanted to get some corporate experience before I jumped into entrepreneurship.
Right.
And it was the best decision. Our network of HBCU graduates has really helped our business. And we're so grateful to our network of HBCUs.
Awesome. Now, Shaun, you have the best of both worlds. You have an HBCU degree, a master's at Duke. I got several friends who are very successful graduates of Duke University, not just from athletics, but academic side. How has that been a blessing for you to have to basically master both worlds?
It's been great. It's been great. As I tell people all the time, Duke is sort of what helped me accelerate my career.
Right.
But Morehouse made me who I am. So I think, both of them were important, but it started at the HBCU. I mean, I remember, conversations going on in the dorm at 3 a.m. where we're talking about everything from football to the original man, everything, the entire spectrum. Right. And that's kind of what made me who I am.
Right.
But then I realized I needed to sort of round out my education. So decided to go back to Duke, get my MBA. And that set me on a different kind of path professionally, being able to go from there to Wall Street and work several years on Wall Street. So it has been beneficial. And both of those communities have helped us as we've been trying to build Greentop into what it is. So I couldn't be more grateful to both Morehouse and Duke.
Let's talk about Greentop. Where did that name come from, Greentop?
So my grandfather was an entrepreneur, and my father worked with him there at Greentop. So Greentop was a restaurant bar in the 40s and 50s. And it was here in Hillsborough, North Carolina. And it was a place that African Americans could go and celebrate and fellowship. And it was a source of celebration in our community. And so when we started the company, we were thinking of names, and Greentop was really just, it seemed like the right fit because it honored the entrepreneurship background of our families.
Well, it's powerful. I really appreciate hearing that. Now, when we talk about business, I would tell people, like, when I started my first business in 92, I was a comedy club. I just basically turned on the lights and got the licenses that I needed and started accepting money. That was my rule. And so obviously I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't even look at the bookkeeping aspect of it. I didn't look at the accounting aspect of it. I didn't have a business plan, nor did I have a business plan for the next 6 months. I just wanted to get in business. And so I always talk about how we make mistakes, because when I say me, I'm talking about entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color, because we don't look at and forecast the reality because we're such dreamers. We don't, once you hear the reality, it can kind of hurt your dreams. And so you kind of like ignore the possibility of failure and put a lot of your opportunities in faith. You're planning in faith and not planning in numbers. So I'm going to turn to you, Mr. MBA. Okay, when you opened this Greentop, she gave me that great name. It had great history, great lineage, obviously inspired. Okay, somebody had to have the numbers somewhere. I'm not saying she was involved in the numbers, but I'm going to go to an MBA on this one. Mr. MBA, Mr. Wall Street, Mr. Wall Street.
I mean, that's exactly what happened. I mean, I'll give you the quick story. She came and she said, look, I want this wrapping paper. It doesn't exist. I'm going to, do it myself.
Right.
And as she will tell you, I was like, no, you're not. That's not going to happen. We're not about to invest this money in building this business. And so, she was persistent, and she said, no, I'm going to research it. I found a manufacturer, all this stuff. And I said, okay, well, let me do a little research. And I found one number that made me say, we can do this. I had no idea the size of the wrapping paper market.
Right.
So in the United States, Americans spend almost $7 billion, $7 billion with a B, on wrapping paper every single year.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that number and I said, okay, wait a minute, 7 billion. There's nothing for Black people out there with images that look like us on it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we can probably make this work, right? So the numbers, just from the size of the market, because I'm sure that's where everything starts from.
Absolutely.
It's what is the size of your market? And so once I saw what the size of the market was, now it was about execution, right? Because the market was there. There was the window was cracked for us to get in as people of color and providing something for people of color. So for me, from there, the numbers made sense. We just had to go execute at a very high level.
That's the part of the conversation, the execute part, the creative side, creating original artwork, original designs. How did that part start to lay itself out? Because, we have a great idea. I want to do wrapping paper for people of color, people who can look like, what are the designs and the looks? Does either one of you have skills, art skills, or are we just big personalities I'm talking to here?
I would say that I'm the creative, but I don't draw. So I do love all things holiday. I love to decorate.
Mm-hmm.
I love to do arts and crafts and hobbies, but drawing and creating the actual character, I did not do. We worked with an illustrator.
Okay.
But I knew what I wanted to look like. I wanted him to appeal to children. I wanted him to appeal to adults. And I wanted him to definitely look Black. And I wanted him to be jolly and magical. I thought it was really important for him to connect with children and adults. So we worked with an illustrator, and on the first iteration, it came back and it was perfect. And that was the image that we went with. That's Clarence Claus.
Mm-hmm. Now, where did the name Clarence Claus, which makes me smile every time I say it. My staff came to me and said they created Clarence Claus. I said, just on that alone, I got to talk to him. It just makes me smile. I come from inner city, Fifth Ward, the 6 sisters, 2 brothers, grew up in a 2-bedroom shotgun house. So that's my lifestyle. I grew up and graduated from University of Houston with a math degree, minor in sociology. So in some ways, I mirror some of the things that you've accomplished in your life from a male perspective, Shaun. And I do a lot of work with HBCU schools now to try to uplift them. I've done a lot of things. I manage Stephen A. Smith, who is a graduate of Winston-Salem State. So I have a strong heart and a strong brand association with HBCU schools. But Clarence Claus, now CC, that's my man, CC.
Right. It's funny you say that. So when we were coming up with the idea, we knew we needed a name.
Right.
We couldn't just go with Santa Claus, right? We knew we needed a name. And I said to Jack, I said, man, but he needs a Black name. He needs a name that when people hear it, they go, that's a Black man, right? And so we're throwing around names, and to your point, Cece, we were like, it needs to flow. It needs to flow. And then everything kind of connects with family. So her father's name was Clarence.
Right.
And so I was just sitting there one day, I said, what if we just call him Clarence Claus? And then from there, it just stuck. It kind of, as you're saying, when you heard it, it just kind of resonated.
Man. I loved it, man. I loved it. It sounds so many uncles, so many. It sounds black. Right. It sounds soulful. It sounds like the Thanksgiving dinner, the Christmas dinner, the summer barbecues. Clarence Claus, my man. He sounds like he's drunk. Sounds like he's happy. Sounds like he's gonna have a good time, but it made you smile. So that was the way it was happening. Everybody said thumbs up on Clarence Claus. Okay. Now we got the thumbs up on Clarence Claus. Now it's taking it to the market. How's that working out? And how did it first get introduced? And how was the initial reactions?
So it really started as I was working full time, working on the idea at night, creating the website. And then we got the inventory. It was sitting in our garage. And I said, we're going to launch in October.
Okay.
So it's October 2016. We worked with one of my sorority sisters, actually. She came and videoed and came up with kind of our story of the origin of how we started it. And she's a great storyteller. And so she developed this 30-second video. And that's kind of how we shared it on Facebook and social media. And that video just told the story of the need and why it was important for us as Black parents. And it really just captured the essence of why it was so important for Black children to see images that look like them. And that video, I won't say it went viral, but it did pretty good numbers and people shared it. And that's kind of what got us out there and people found out about our website. We were packing orders in our house up until Black Friday of that year. And, I was working full time and so was Shaun. So we get home at night, we pack orders, we put the kids down, eat dinner, and we packed orders until we were about passed out. And then the orders just kept coming and coming. And I said, I think we need a fulfillment company. And I don't think we can do it out of the garage anymore. And so we switched to a fulfillment company and they pack our orders for us. But that's just kind of how it started.
Now, go say, Shaun. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, you talked earlier about HBCUs. And we talked a lot about HBCUs. And when we first launched, we really leaned on that HBCU network. When we launched, we got all of our HBCU, classmates, friends, the schools we went to. With that first year, we basically created street teams to go to these homecomings. And we gave them T-shirts and they were passing out flyers and buttons. So we really leaned on HBCUs to help get that first year off the ground and get some success behind it. And HBCUs came through for us in a big way. I mean, they supported, as they say, they showed up and showed out for Clarence Claus. So it was huge. It was huge.
Well, also was huge being featured. When you get these featured moments in Essence and the Oprah magazine, back in the old school days, when you put out a record, you hear your record on the radio. And so when you start seeing your product being featured in prominent magazines like Essence and what was your reaction? Have you framed it, or is the magazine still sitting on your countertop? Did you post it on social media? How did you react, and how did you use that, to your advantage?
We had some praise and worship in the living room. When we got the phone call from Oprah, I definitely was shouting and screaming.
Come on, girl. We're
about the Oprah team. We put on some gospel music and danced around the living room. But when we got NBC News, that was probably the first big press that we got. And the orders started to flood in, and it was picked up by some local television news networks. And it's great. It's one thing when you think it's something important for your own child, but when other people see it and validate it and say it's important as well. So the features in the press have been wonderful to help, get the brand awareness out there. And we're so grateful for all of them.
So, we're talking about wrapping paper. We're talking about Clarence Claus. And then Clarence Claus has kind of become a bigger than life character that you guys didn't even expect, So that's usually how great ideas come about. They come from passion, but there's something you believe in. And when you tell your story, it just connects, the Greentop story connects, the Clarence story connects, and it all feels very organic and real. And so how big can Clarence Clarence Claus become? How big can he become? Do I do Macy's Day Parade one day? I see a Clarence Claus up there, floating up there next to Snoopy. Can he get that big there, Shaun? Come on now.
He can absolutely get that big. If Macy's to let him in, he can get that big.
You know, because that's the dream big, and you get that big. So what additional marketing techniques are you guys using? And I know you've had grants tied to Black women. Jacquelyn, I want to talk about that you've been awarded. Talk about the grants and the funding that has come in to benefit you guys and your brand and your company growth.
Definitely. We have really benefited from some grants this year with Beyonce and her foundation, Be Good, has awarded us a $10,000 grant that we're very excited about in partnership with the NAACP. And we also have received a grant from Visa and I Fund Women. And that's a great opportunity for us because Visa is huge, and I Fund Women does this great work to help Black-owned and women businesses really grow and give them the tools they need. And so those two grants have really given us, exposure to larger networks. It's helped us internally with that funding, and they've provided us with resources that we're really grateful for.
Okay, Greentop gift lines include gift bags, holiday accessories, apparel such as socks, face masks, which is very smart. It means you pivoted. You saw a need and you pivoted right there. Dad hats. Their apparel line includes t-shirts, sweaters, baby onesies, and pajama sets for the whole family. They were newly added this year and are available for pre-order right now. Let's talk about the pre-order. Let's talk about the whole facial mask. Was that just something you saw? You had the ability. At what point in this whole pandemic, because we got shut down in March, that you felt you should get in the facial mask market?
It was very early on. People reached out to us and said, "You guys are going to do Christmas masks, right?" It was June and July, and people were realizing that we're going to be in this for a while. And I had a lot of friends that were like, "Are you guys going to do masks?" And I was like, "Yeah, we could do masks. We'll do masks for sure." So, and they're selling really well. They're selling.
I like our attitude. Yeah, sure. Hey, Shaun, mask, brother, mask. Yeah, we got that on the agenda. Mask. Shaun, you better get the mask done, boy.
Yeah, the masks are going well. They're selling. My mom and I have been out wearing ours, and people are stopping us and asking, "Where'd you get those masks from?"
Right. So, like I said earlier, prior to our call, I love to feature you guys in my shopping zone. It's all free. There's no when I see great opportunities, and that's how you get out there. I always tell people, this is not the lottery. You don't win in one location. You win in. People turn this way, they see your brand. They turn that way, they see your brand. They turn this way, they hear your brand. And so, like I said, I have a mailing list, goes out to over 90,000 of my fan club members. Love to put you there. Post you get on my social media, which is moneymakingconversation.com. And then I have my personal social media, which is Rashawn McDonald, which has almost 1 million social media followers. I think it'll be very fun to post Clarence Claus and get some pre-orders. But how does the pre-order process work for Greentop?
So for our family pajamas, we're doing pre-order. They come in sizes from infants to an adult 2X. And if you order them now, they'll ship after the 1st of December. But if you order any additional product with it, like if you order a mask and pajamas or a mask and a set of wrapping paper, the items that are in stock now outside of the pajamas will ship immediately, and your family pajamas will ship as soon as we have them all packaged and ready.
Okay, cool. So with that being said, are you doing any modeling with your items, or are they just already been photoed, or how is the package being featured on your website?
So we have done a great family photo shoot with tons of cute kids in our pajamas, and that's on YouTube. It's on our website. It's on our social media. There's tons of photos that you can see and kind of get a gauge on what the sizing looks like and see the pajamas. And the kids are having a ball in the video, so it's just super joyful to look at.
Well, I mentioned earlier that was Nestle was you, Mars and Wrigley, and then Shaun, you mentioned Wall Street. My background was IBM. I worked for IBM 2.5 years undergraduate, 2.5 years graduate, and the things I've learned from my 5 years at IBM, I still use today. From a marketing standpoint, from being a professional, from being able to handle management, I can always clearly look at some of the statements that how I was handled by supervisors to be successful work for me today, and the principles of me starting my own company, managing people along the way, and being able to have goals of success. So starting with you, Shaun, with your experience that you had, how are you incorporating that into Greentop?
Oh man, it's well, the first thing is just making smart decisions. I've been fortunate that I've been around a lot of smart people,
Right.
People who've done some pretty incredible things, and typically their success was rooted in they didn't always get it right, but they use a lot of logic to make smart decisions.
Right.
And so I've tried to help Jackie, and we've helped each other, but I've tried to sort of bring that to Greentop. It's like, is this a smart decision? Do the numbers, like you said in the beginning, do the numbers make sense? Does this math add up, right? And so that's really what I've learned most. You touched on, you said at IBM being a professional. I mean, that was something that the first day I walked into Morgan Stanley, you could just feel you better be a professional in here, right? You're going to get walked out the door, right? So,
yes.
So being a professional is a big part of it. I think sometimes people overlook that. How you carry yourself matters. I'll never forget, there was a guy who I worked for at Morgan Stanley, a gentleman by the name of David DeLuca. And this quote I will never forget. He said, "Why wait until tomorrow to do what you can do today?"
Mm-hmm.
And so I take that with me everywhere now, that you just always get as much done today as you possibly can, because we don't know what's going to change tomorrow. So those are the types of things that I've tried to bring to Greentop, how we think about it, how we approach it, making sure every decision is strategic, every decision makes sense. And I think it's benefited us to a large degree.
It has. The thing I always also, like when I left IBM to pursue a career as a comedian, okay, which is a lot of uncertainty because people are always like, "Oh, you." Next Eddie Murphy, right. And so, but there's still that unknown, when you walk out you're walking away from medical benefits, you're walking away from a consistent check, you're walking away from a building that exists, so, and then, so in the world of doubt, I'd love to hear both of you guys' reaction to, overcoming the unknown. Plus you're a team. I call you guys a power couple because the decisions were made jointly, but then each decision was made individually because you were working, Jacquelyn, and you was working, Shaun. Okay. And some people will say, well, you work until we get up and running and then you come on later on. How was that commitment to the brand of Greentop handled within the household of the Rodgers?
So it was interesting. So we started the company in 2016. And we were a tag team. We, as Jackie said, we work late, we pack orders, we do all that stuff. And probably 2 years ago, I started to push her a little bit on, if we really want this thing to grow and blow up, you're going to have to quit your job. You're going to have to quit it and do it full time, because we're looking at some of our friends who have started businesses. They're doing it full time and you can see the business grow. And I said, if one of us doesn't quit our job, it's always just going to be a side hustle,
right, versus
it being a real company. And so I think we learned some harsh lessons in corporate America too. And working for some of these companies, Jackie, worked for Nestle. She worked there for a long time, and they laid her off. We don't mind talking about that. And so she was fortunate enough, talented enough to get the job at Mars. But I think we realized from that experience at Nestle that, to a lot of these companies, you're just a number. And so you got an opportunity to have your own company and grow it and build it. Let's go after it. And so after me pushing for a couple of years, in February of this year, she made the decision, I'm going to quit Mars. I'm going to do this full time. And that's kind of how we balance it in our house, right? So I still go to work and work my 9 to 5 so that we can keep the health insurance and the benefits and all that stuff. But, she does it full time,
right,
all day long. And some days, most days, she's doing more work than I am with my 9 to 5.
Right.
She's working from 8 in the morning to midnight, 1 a.m. I'm watching the the game.
Right. Wink. Keep watching the game.
Right,
I know Jacquelyn ain't pulling all. Hey.
But yeah, that's how we balance in our house. She's done an incredible job. She quit. She's doing it full time, and now, it's growing. So it's been really cool in that way.
When you say it's growing, Jacquelyn, you made that commitment, and as an individual, you say I'm going in, and it's, first of all, smart business decision. Okay, you do, if you can pull this off, then you do it, because a lot of stuff is online nowadays. You're not in a factory pulling stuff down. You moved it to a fulfillment location. So they're making sure your product line. So you're running the company by yourself in a sense of, because it's set up that way. So talk about the hours. I always tell people there are 24 hours in a day. Learn to take advantage or use each hour, and that seems to be what you're doing as an entrepreneur.
Yes. We have 2 small children on top of that. So before I quit my job, I was working full time, and I'd say double dutching and doing this at night and on the weekends and when I could. And now that since February, I've been working on it full time. So the hours are every second is down to a schedule. My calendar, if I don't put it on my calendar and schedule it, it doesn't get done. Right. And I have to be very strategic with my time because we have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they're home with virtual learning. So most days we have a tutor that comes in and works with our son, but we have to be really efficient with getting work done before they wake up. Mm-hmm. During nap time, I try to get a few hours in while they're sitting and eating lunch. And then I do a lot of work in the evening once they're down for bed. So we balance off each other and work with each other's schedules to make calls work when we're in the house. And COVID's kind of been a blessing because it allows us to get things done even more efficiently. So lots of scheduling and just working together to make it work. But there's no office hours. It's just getting done.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming on the show, Money Making Conversation. Thank you for making me smile. When I say smile, I mean really. I'm much older than you guys, so I've experienced a life without this type of diversity. As far as my daughter, she's 24 now, and she'll be graduating from college, and I'm very excited about that. But more importantly, giving us a hope. All right, when I look at what we saw on Saturday night, that diversity. Mm-hmm. When I look at the civil unrest and looking at white people stepping up in a lot of situations, saying that's not right, and that is important to us as we move forward. Plus, you raising young people to be better people in this life, and people recognizing that they want to be. They want the same dreams that everybody else wants. We just happen to be different color, and different colors should not matter in your dreams. And I applaud you guys for living your dreams. I applaud this lifestyle you guys are creating right now, where Shaun is hanging down in that white collar world doing his thing, and you over there doing that entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm pretty sure next year we're gonna keep this relationship, and next year might be full time. Both of you guys out there whipping it. He might answer this call looking like Clarence Claus. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. I just know that in the world of animation, I just know that there's a bright future for a brand that makes people smile. There's a bright future for people who, and the cute thing about it, it's just not people of color buying your product. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of what Clarence Claus is. You know, it's a charming. Are you guys doing ornaments for Christmas tree ornaments as well yet?
Yeah, we have ornaments. They'll be on the site shortly.
Be thinking for you.
Home blankets and throws. We got it all. So
yeah, because I want to buy me some ornaments for my tree. You know, I want to put it up. But again, on my end of the table, my responsibility to you is to promote your brand. So I get my staff to reach out to you, get us any videos or artwork that we want to promote. Definitely want to promote Clarence Claus. That's my man. He's close to my heart. I'm gonna put him out there and promote him as much as I can. But more importantly, good luck and keep winning. Okay.
Thank
you so much. Thank you for having us.
Okay.
Great to talk.
We talk soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more Money Making Conversation, please go to moneymakingconversation.com. And I'm Rushion McDonald. I'm your host.